Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and today we're going to be doing an overview for the patch notes for patch 2.51. This is the patch that is adding in the Manderville Gold Saucer, which includes Chocobo Racing, Triple Triad, and a number of mini games, as well as the entire zone of the Manderville Gold Saucer, as well as the continuation of the Saga of the Zodiac Weapons questline. It's going to be taking it up to its final step before we head off to Heaven's Word, so without further ado, let's jump right into the patch notes. So this section right here with playable content and whatnot, this actually isn't going to take too long. Most of the patch notes are the Manderville Gold Saucer, as well as the items that were added into this patch. The item section, I'm actually really excited to go over because I've already taken a look at it, and there's a few things that I want to point out in case everyone hasn't figured it out yet. But let's move on, starting off with the Saga of the Zodiac Weapons. We have two new quests here. People have been guessing this step was kind of going to be a combination of Atmas and the light system, so it seems to be pretty close. We have Mahatma, you know, just an MAH in front of the Atma, and instead of light level, it's soul resonance level. But the description here makes it seem like it's almost going to be exactly like the light step. You know, once you have achieved full soul resonance level, a weapon's soul resonance level will rise by a set value determined by the activity. It sounds exactly like the light value section. The good news is, for everyone who was wondering, you know, what the name of the weapon is, what the item level was going to be, it's going to be a Zodiac Weapon Zeta, and it is going to be item level 135. So it will be a Dreadworm weapon equivalent weapon. We kind of figured this out based on when the Nexus weapon was added to the game, how that was kind of like a best-in-slot weapon for a couple of months. This one is pretty much going to be the same. If you go out of your way to do the best possible melds, it is going to be the most superior weapon that you can obtain until Heaven's Word comes out. They also added a few more delivery Moogle quests if that's something that interests you. A lot of decent storylines in there, so hopefully you enjoyed that. All these quests involving the Manderville Gold Saucer, there's quite a few here, so you want to be a jockey, it could happen to you. Later in the patch notes, some of these are attributed to specific things that you need to unlock, whether it be Chocobo Racing, Triple Triad, or the Gold Saucer itself. This one is the ability to unlock the Gold Saucer itself, and good news for anybody who may have friends that want to try out the free trial of the game. You can access the Manderville Gold Saucer at level 15. We've known this for a little while, but that means you are able to access it during the free trial period. So it is something that new players can get into really early into the game. If leveling's not their interest, they just want to buy the game and go Triple Triad and Chocobo Racing all day. It seems like they have probably some limitations there, but they do have the option to at least try it out. A lot of mini quests here. Try out the mini Cactpot, Triple Triad, a Jumbo Cactpot. And then there seems to be some later quests here, like Sire Like Fledgling, probably to teach you how to breed the Chocobos overall. Looking forward to getting to try out and complete all these quests. Going to be live streaming in a few hours, so looking forward to it. I'm so excited. Okay, so there's view details on the Gold Saucer. We'll get to that later. Let's look at some of the other little changes they added here. Gold Saucer has been, the location name the Gold Saucer has been added to the Thanolin region. We have ponytails for males and females being added at the Aesthetician. One little thing that they snuck in here, you know, a lot of people have been talking about Summoner MP issues, specifically in the Final Coil, and they said they do have some long-term things planned for Heaven's Word. They haven't said exactly what those are yet, but for the short term, the MP cost of Ruin and Ruin 2 have been reduced, so Scholars now have even less MP problems than Summoners. Little bit less MP problems, but that should definitely help a little bit. Don't know exactly what the reduction is, but we'll find out in a few hours, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Also, they did add carbon twines for the weekly quest for Crystal Tower. So if you've been waiting to upgrade your left side gear because you're not a big fan of the hunt and can't get 3,000 allied seals, you can now get carbon twines from the weekly quest for the Crystal Tower. Still no encrypted tombstones. I actually thought they might add that before the carbon twines, but it seems that since it's an upgrade for a weapon, that they figure, well, we have the Saga of the Zodiac weapon, so if they want weapon upgrades, that's where they'll have to go. But the Carbon Twine, still, if you can at least beat Turn 11 and get a Tombstone, that can mean an item level 130 weapon to you to help with your progression through the Final Coil of Bahamut. Now, a bunch of new items were added, but those are, again, going to be later. As you can see, we have to click here to go down to the bottom. Some new recipes have been added, feeds for your Chocobos. It seems like it's a bunch of different feeds, like Speed Blend, Acceleration Blend. These are to boost specific stats for your Chocobo, things we'll be going over later as well. Stamina, and then also a green tea set, which is a new, which is one of those culinarian items that you can place, and it's and you can use it in your house. It gives you some small stat bonuses, mostly just for decoration, but nice little addition. Also, some more items were added, wild grass, greens, worms. These are Chocobo racing related items that miners and botanists can now get. And again, we'll be looking at that in the item section of this patch note overview. A bunch of new achievements were added, obtaining a ridiculous amount of Manderville Gold Saucer points, getting your new Zodiac weapon, completing Chocobo races, triple Triad matches, obtaining triple Triad cards. Mostly just achievements filling in, completing the new activities that are in the game a certain number of times. Nothing too special, mini cactpot, just jumbo cactpot, all this kind of stuff. Looking forward to having fun getting these, because going to be spending a lot of time in the Gold Saucer. So they also added a Gold Saucer category in the character menu. Has the general, Chocobo, card list, and card deck menus. I actually really like this general section for the Gold Saucer. This is how many points you have, but more importantly, it lets you know when the next triple Triad tournament is. These are the officially sanctioned Gold Saucer tournaments, where you can hold tournaments, you know, with your friends if you really wanted to, but this is a tournament without all those, without any like real barriers for entry. Gives you entry acceptance times, when it's going to be taking place, and your most recent tournament results, as well as your cooldowns for the mini cactpot and the jumbo cactpot. The Chocobo menu has parameters, pedigree, appearance, lets you know all the basic stats of your racing Chocobo, so just more information that's good to have. This allows you to see your cards for triple Triad, which we're going to be going over a lot of the cards later in this video. And then, of course, you can set up your decks in the final section, those decks that you can select predetermined in order to challenge your friends and NPCs to a friendly game of triple Triad. So then we have a few little changes under here. Nothing too big. One of them was a little bit of a hot fix to the pet hotbar thing, where it becomes hotbar number 1, just making it so it's only if it's required to complete the duty. So it won't happen for your mounts anymore, basically. They also added a bunch of auto-translate stuff, like how about a game of triple Triad? Can we change the rules? Just basic stuff for all the new Gold Saucer. If you're really going to use them, they're there. Now, they addressed a bunch of issues. Not going to go over all that. And known issues that they have with this patch. You know, we're not going to go too deep into those. If you're interested in those, you can check them out in the patch notes itself. But now the rest of the patch notes, which by the way is like 75% of these patch notes, is going over the Gold Saucer and all the little intricacies of Chocobo racing and triple Triad, as well as the new items added in this patch. So it could happen to you as the quest you have to do to unlock the Manderville Gold Saucer. You have to at least complete the Envoy quest at level 15, part of the main story, in order to get here. And in order to get to the Gold Saucer, you do need to use the airship from one of the 3 city-states, implying that there isn't going to be some sort of quick teleport system. I'm a fan of that, and I'm not a fan of it at the same time, because I kind of miss having to take, you know, those forms of transportation to get places. It feels like airships and, you know, Chocobo keeps lose a lot of value to you once you're level 50. You really stop using them unless you're really trying to save Gil. So I'm glad that they're finding a way to get us to use the airships to travel between city-states, but at this point, I'm just going to the Gold Saucer and staying there forever, so it doesn't matter. Chocobo Racing, quick explanation of that. The quest you have to do in order to actually unlock Chocobo Racing, also a level 15 quest, so you can do it in the free trial just like everything else. First, you need to complete the quest So You Want to Be a Jockey, which is a previous quest, which is also in the patch notes. We scrolled through that earlier. And now it's going to give an explanation of Chocobo Racing, where you can find the NPC in order to register your Chocobo and begin racing. It's in Chocobo Square here on the left side of the Gold Saucer map, right here at X4Y6. So, preparing for Chocobo Racing, I'll let you know about registration forms, how to register your Chocobo, how to enter the race, how many tracks there are that you can select between which tracks. It also is sure to let you know that if your Chocobo reaches a higher rank, it cannot race against lower ranked Chocobos. It's trying to keep it somewhat fair. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite them, because I'm worried that maybe a month from now it might be harder to find races in general because of that. Hopefully Chocobo Racing remains fun and exciting for people to always just want to do something while they're waiting for other things to happen. So Chocobo Racing controls real quick. Your Chocobo always moves forward, but you are able to increase its speed, which will increase the consumption of stamina, as you can see here at the bottom. Apparently your Chocobo can also become lathered. That's interesting. And then, of course, you just basically can either increase your speed, reduce your speed, or you can steer left or steer right. So basic controls, but your Chocobo will always be going forward. So don't expect to have your... It's not going to be like Mario Kart where your friend decides, I'm going to lose this race anyway. I'm going backwards around the track and just trying to screw people. That's not going to happen. Don't worry. There's also panels that can provide buffs and debuffs. As you can see here, we have 2 buffs here. This looks like it could be a random item or it could be a stamina increase. This looks like a quick burst of speed. This looks like it'll actually slow down your Chocobo, and this one looks like it could either take an item away for you or reduce stamina. But there's 4 different panels. You can dodge them with steering, or you can actually jump over them if you find yourself unable to get out of the way. There's also items you can pick up on the track, which you can use. There's a list of them here. Potions that restore stamina, reduce stamina reduction, a quick burst of speed. Previously used race ability to be executed again, basically takes it off cooldown. You can basically, I think Bacchus's water sends the forwarding Chocobo into a frenzied state. I wonder if that's the blue shell equivalent in this, because I'm making all Mario Kart references with this. Inflicts the forerunning Chocobo with heavy. Maybe that's more like the blue shell in this case. Surrounds your Chocobo with a ring of thorns that saps stamina of nearby Chocobos. Hero Tonic invigorates your Chocobo, increasing its performance while nullifying any enfeeblements. And Choco Meteor, which just summons a meteor to wreck all the other Chocobos. That seems like the lightning bolt, if anything else. But I'm glad they decided to add items, so it's not literally just a race from point A to B. I'm a big fan of them adding that. When you collect an item, it automatically gets added to your hotbar, so it's easy to use, and you don't have to worry too much about it. There's also weather effects that can actually affect the race, and you can actually, certain Chocobos can actually flourish in certain weather conditions. So another interesting change to the track could make races a little bit more dynamic. You know, if you know the track, it doesn't automatically mean you're going to win every time, because your Chocobo is better or worse in different weather conditions. Finishing a race gives you a menu like this. Now, first place is going to get a good prize. They're going to get decent amount of Chocobo experience and some good Manderville Gold Saucer points. But anyone between places 2 and 7 can randomly get a bonus, as shown here. The bonus increases the experience you gain, though, not the Manderville Gold Saucer points that you would obtain, just the amount of Chocobo experience that you get. I also like the time. Seeing these times lets us kind of know the races are going to be between like 2 to 2.5 minutes. I guess it depends on the track, really, but they're nice quick races. Means you can get them done with your friends. You can do them in your off time if you just want to do a few races. I'm really glad that the races aren't like 5-6 minutes long, because those could get a little bit tedious. Not in for that Rainbow Road thing right now. Then it shows off the UI really quickly. One thing I do want to make note of, other than the place and the stamina, is that there's actually notices that can pop up and let you know when a coffer is ahead or a speed boost is ahead or something like that. Now, also, they go over training here, how you can feed it to increase maximum speed and acceleration. There's also a capacity to the number of training sessions that you can complete at a given time. So you definitely have to be careful with how you use your training sessions. You definitely don't want to accidentally breed it with the, or not even breed it, feed it the wrong thing and not get the stats that you want. And once a Chocobo is retired, you can eventually breed it, or as they call it, covering, as odd as that sounds to me at least. And that's after you get your first Chocobo to rank 40 or higher. That's when you can retire your first Chocobo and cover it with another Chocobo to make a fledgling that will have the, will, you know, take from its parents. It'll have traits, it'll have increased stats, it'll be a higher pedigree. So it's something that you're going to be doing eventually. So that's all you really need to know. You have a proof of covering right here. It's a new item that was added. And then once all the process is done, you can collect your fledgling. Now, race abilities, they go over here. There's abilities learned from training. There's abilities learned from rank. There's hereditary abilities. And you can actually unlearn race abilities using Leaf Water. So, a lot of different things going on with Chocobo racing. It's definitely a more involved system. One of the more involved system, it seems, in the game. A game that's, you know, generally very simple. I'm glad to see a lot of these little things that you can go out of your way to modify and make your own, really. Make it your own Chocobo. Make it your own experience. Something that I like that this MMO is deciding to go out of its way to do. So that's it for the Chocobo Racing section. We now have the Triple Triad section. Now, if you've played Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII, you're not going to need this too much, but the one thing you're going to want to see is the different rules that you can play under. So again, level 15, it could happen to you, just another thing that you have to unlock, and then you can go right here to the Triple Triad section, right next to Chocobo Square, in order to basically unlock the system. So creating a deck, nothing too fancy, you know, just select a deck, 5 cards, you have 5 decks, whatever, you know. Seeking out opponents. If you're looking for an opponent to challenge, that's an NPC. That is the symbol that will be above their head. There's a lot of NPCs around the world that have this, and you can usually win rare cards from a lot of the NPCs that you challenge. You can also win stuff such as Manderville Gold Saucer points. As you can see here, there's a reward, and sometimes there can also be a match fee. There are also NPCs that don't have this marker above their head that you can challenge to obtain legendary tier cards, but we'll be going into what those legendary tier cards are a little bit later. So, as you can see, they also added a bunch of little sections where you can go out and play Triple Triad with your friends, such as, you know, Central Thanalan, South Shroud, Eastern Lenosha. I think this is kind of to maybe bring back life into the world a little bit. Some people are going to prefer playing Triple Triad in different places, and these are also areas that you'll see new players venturing to very often. So if a new player walks into these areas and sees people playing Triple Triad, the world feels more alive to him. It feels more like an online environment, like an MMO. And it also, because you can do this at a very low level, makes it so that the low level people can get involved and can participate in content with some of the higher level people. Just a friendly game of Triple Triad. So a card, as you can see, they have rarities in the top left, and then they have the picture of what it is, as well as their overall power on all four sides. So let's see, all cards can be classified by rarity. Initially, each deck can only contain one card with a rarity rating higher than 1 star. As you acquire more cards, however, the restriction becomes less prohibitive and eventually only applied to the highest tier rarity. So basically, the more cards you have, the better your decks can actually be. If you have less than 30 cards, you're only allowed to have one card with a rarity of 2 stars or higher. You're only allowed to use the crappiest of cards, basically, when you have less than 30. When you have between 30 and 59, there's no restriction on cards with the 2 star, but now it's 3 stars or higher. But when you have 60 cards or more, there's you're only allowed one card of a rarity of 4 stars or higher. There are 4 and 5 star cards, and there are quite a few of them. So you're only allowed to have one of those super powerful aces. I guess that's a little bit of a balancing thing, so you can't just bring all of the legendary cards into the fray and wreck everyone's face. So basic rules of Triple Triad, I've made so many videos about this, I'm not going to spend the time to go over it right now. The ultimate goal is to try and capture as many spaces on the board as possible by placing your card next to your opponent's cards and having the numbers match up. The higher number, unless you're under certain rules, wins and takes over the space. Now, you win, you can ask for an immediate rematch, something that I'm actually a fan of. And then, big fans of Final Fantasy VIII, there are rules and there are regional rules that will actually reset daily at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, some NPCs ignore the regional rules, but up to 2 regional rules are in effect at any given time. So every day you go to challenge NPCs could be different for you. Just keep that in mind. Also, when you're challenging friends, you can set the rules yourself. So if you want to try different rules, if you want to practice with some friends, that is something you are totally able to do. Now, they go over all the rules here. There's the all open rule, the 3 open rule, which means that 3 cards of yours are shown to your opponent and 3 of theirs are shown to you. You have the same rule, which is probably the most common rule that people will know about from Final Fantasy VIII. There is an explanation of these rules here. It would take me ages to go through the explanation of all of them. I highly recommend you read up on all the different rules. You have the sudden death rule. You have the plus rule, another very popular one. This is actually one of my favorite rules, the plus rule. The random rule, where you don't even get to select the cards that you're going to be playing with. The order rule, where the cards you're allowed to play with go in order in your deck, so you can't actually, it's always the first, second, third, fourth, then 5th card you play. You have the chaos rule, where where on your turn, it's randomly decided which card you're allowed to play. We have the reverse rule, where lower numbers actually beat higher numbers. There's also the fallen ace rule, where if a 1 is matched up against an A, the 1 will actually win, unless the reverse rule is in place, in which case a 1 will be vulnerable to an A capture. They basically become enemies. Ascending rule, which is involved with the Beastman cards for the most part, based on the description. Dissension rule, which is the opposite of that. You know, all the Beastman related cards lose points. The swap rule, 1 card from your deck is switched with one of your opponents before the match begins. Basically, you trade cards. You trade 1 card each from your hand. And the roulette rule, advanced rules for this match, will be chosen at random. So there are a ton of different rules. And with a ton of different rules comes Triple Triad tournaments. There are actually Gold Saucer sanctioned tournaments that you can participate in. I was talking about those a little bit before. There's different tournament rules, rankings, all that fun stuff. So Triple Triad, very involved. Again, definitely looking forward to getting into that and playing that with my viewers. You guys know that I want to get wrecked by my viewers. There's also the Cactpot and the Mini Cactpot, which are basically, one's a scratch off and one is a weekly lottery ticket, basically, that lets you win Gold Saucer points. Jumbo Cactpot, you pick 4 numbers, and at the end of the week, you'll go see, hey, did I win? Now, every data center, the winner is chosen at different times. Ether is chosen at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You know, Primal is chosen at the same time. But Elemental is Saturday at 4 a.m. Gaia is at 4 a.m. So it depends on the region that the data center is supposed to be for, you know, European, North American, or Japanese. The Mini Cactpot is something you can do daily. Basically, it reveals 1 number for you, and then you're able to scratch excuse me, scratch off 3 other numbers, and then you select a row, as you can see here, and the total, the added numbers of that row determine your final number, which determines your payout. So for example, here in the final example, you got 4, 5, and 3, which equals 12, so he won 108 Manderville Gold Saucer points. Some of the rarer ones are getting 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, or 3 in a row, or getting 24, which would be, 7, 8, 9. So those ones that are directly in a row are the much rarer ones and much better paying ones. There's also gates, which are Gold Saucer active time events, like Fates for the Gold Saucer. And these are basically just a bunch of little mini games. I've made a lot of videos about those, and there's, other than the descriptions here, it doesn't really do it justice to try and explain each individual one. There's also 4 mini games here that you can use to accumulate small amounts of Manderville Gold Saucer points. They're little quick time events that you can repeat over and over again. And if you just want to kill time, it's something you can do. There's also a bunch of different Gold Saucer prizes, and that's how we go into the new items that are being added in the patch. So we do have some new items. Blood Sword, Eye Opaque. I actually should probably check the database to see what these items are, if they're part of the Zeta questline. And of course, we have all of the new Zodiac Brave weapons, one of the true weapons wielded by the legendary Zodiac Braves, Excalibur Zeta, Kaiser Knuckle Zeta, etc., etc. Moving on, we have the items that you can get from the Gold Saucer, Charlene Goggles, a Bunny Crown, Gambler's Trench Coat. We have the Riviera gear, Oasis gear. We have Claws of the Beast. We have just basically a ton of different stuff. And the Mad Bird Ring. We have all the feeds here, which we were talking about before. We already went over these. Going to skip right over them. I already mentioned the worms and the wild grasses and the greens. These are new feeds that you can also give to your Chocobo. As you can see, excellent source of protein, giving them the worms. And you can also give them these Mazlea greens. Wiped out of Chocobos, brought to the island. Alright, that was, okay. I don't know what they do, based on the description. Other than the ones with the protein, trying to help them grow. Not exactly sure. There's also bronze Triad cards, silver Triad cards, and gold Triad cards. I don't know what that means. 1 of 8 high rarity triple Triad cards. I think that just means that when you buy the card, it'll turn into 1 of 6, 1 of 8, or 1 of 8 cards, depending on which one that you actually get. This is something we're going to have to kind of wait till after the patch notes to really understand. There's also vouchers you can hand in for Gold Saucer points. There's the green tea set. New minions, a black Coeurl, which I like the description for. A Zoo Hatchling, a Heavy Hatchling, which is a fat Chocobo minion, and I like the description. Currently, baby fat is the prevailing excuse for this Cherubic Chicks Gigant. This is too early in the morning for me to pronounce words. Gigant like girth. We have Water Imp. We have the proof of covering. There's also registration forms here for male and female Chocobos, and also depending on their rank and their grade, basically. Registration, covering permissions. This is all stuff we'll get used to. There's also manuals you can use to teach your Chocobo abilities. We went over this earlier. These are just a list of some of the abilities like Reflect, or Choco Calm, or Choco Steel, Choco Silence, Choco Shock. Increased stamina. These are traits that that are now going through. Heavy resistance, level head. A lot of different things that you can use to modify your Chocobo to really be your own personal racing machine. We also have the 2 new mounts, the Adamantoise Whistle and the Fenrir Horn. There's also a Gambler Barding, which I didn't expect the Setzer armor being added. There's also a Barding for your Chocobo for that. And then we have all of the triple Triad cards. It's the final section of the item section. So you can see we have a lot of common stuff. Gubus, Chocobos, Kobolds. We're moving on up to, rare 2. We have Siren cards, Ultros and Typhon, Succubus, Chimera, Scarface, Bugeljaw, Liviusas Hunius, Ritatin, Geralt. Then we move up another step. We have Behemoth cards, Gilgamesh and Enkidu. We have the primals like Garuda. We have Thancred, Neurotolskeva. Ultima Weapon, moving up to the 4-star cards. Ultima Weapon, Odin, Ramu, Leviathan, Shiva, Minfilia, La Habrea, Cid, Alphino and Alizé, and Louis Sois Levieux. And then we move up to the 5-star cards. So we have the Bahamut card. I'm wondering if that comes from the final coil of Bahamut. That would be pretty crazy. I think you're probably going to be able to win most of these from NPCs. Nanamo Olnamo. We have Raubon, Merlub. Then we have 13, excuse me, question mark cards. In case you didn't know, they said they were going to be adding cards from Dissidia, characters from Dissidia. There's 13 cards, 13 Final Fantasy games before Final Fantasy 14. I don't think I have to tell you, this is probably either all the heroes or all the villains. My guess is all of the heroes. Going to be a Lightning card, a Vaughn card, a Shantoto card, a Tidus card, etc, etc, etc. Yes, there will probably be a Cloud card. But these are the 13 Dissidia cards, and that makes 80 cards total. So that's it, really, for the patch notes. Hopefully, you're looking forward to this patch as much as I am. I love collecting things. I even did the sightseeing logs. I just love completing those kind of pieces of content, and I'm really bad at Triple Triad, so it's probably going to make for some hilarious stream highlights, and I can't wait to play with my viewers with Chocobo racing, with Triple Triad. As soon as I've had a little bit more time with it, we'll see what we can do about events on specific nights with this kind of content. So thank you for watching the patch notes overview. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of these changes in the description of the video below. I'm not going to be getting any sleep for the rest of the night. I'm up a little bit before patch just so I can actually patch my game early. And be sure to stop by my live stream today. Going to be live streaming all day, checking out the Manderville Gold Saucer, the next step of the Zodiac questline. Just be sure to come by and we'll try to have a good time. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'll see everyone on the live stream. Until then, take care.